Dear students, the topic on the screen is deceptively simple, and I had chosen it for both the undergraduates and the postgraduates alike. We shall unfurl what mystery it holds for us. I hope you people are able to recognize this particular picture. More of surgical interest, but then it is a typical judgment of Solomon position. Two women claim rights over a child, and the King Solomon gives a judgment, divide it equally and give half to each. And the earnest mother says, let it go to the other one. The child is ultimately handed over. That is the judgment of Solomon. But what has it got to do with surgery? It is also a radiological diagnosis of an imperforate anus. That apart, we shall go to our topic. The introduction, there are certain symbols over here. FF means fast forward. We shall just be mentioning it for the sake of completion. It is a major constituent of the RBC, and approximately it forms 90% of the weight of the mature cell. And it is composed of heme and globin. Incidentally, this is the gentleman, Max Perutz, who won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his identification of the structure of hemoglobin. And this being continued, these are the molecules over here. There are two pairs of globin chains, two alpha chains and two beta chains, and the heme group helps in connecting them. And these are coded for in chromosomes 16 and 11. Of these, hemoglobin A is the most common, 96%, and the others are lesser. Therefore, any estimation can per se mean hemoglobin A unless there is a massive reduction. Coming to the topic of the day, the various methods for hemoglobin estimation. First and foremost shall be visual comparison methods. And these are the methods I would like you people to kindly memorize the list. Tallquist, Dare, WHO, Spencer, acid-hematin, alkali-hematin, Haldane, and the BMS hemoglobinometer. Again, regarding judgment of code, you people can just go through. The Tallquist method is one of the oldest methods, and it says that the color of blood is due to the color of hemoglobin. Therefore, it is color matched with the comparators that are given or provided. And fortunately or unfortunately, there can be various forms of errors. And the measurement of hemoglobin can be from as low as 10 to 100% of the values. A finger prick method is chosen and it is color matched with the comparators that are given. Cheap, very simple. The error is unfortunately 20 to 50%. And what is this over here? This is incidentally a catalog from Asian Paints. If you want to color your house, you can choose. WHO, the World Health Organization, chose a similar hemoglobin color scale. And this was devised by Scott and Lewis. The principle is similar to Tallquist. Again, rapid, simple, inexpensive. On the chart provided, they have got the values from 4 grams to 14 grams. It is useful for the screening of donors in camps and for patients who are subject to iron therapy. So this is a finger prick, put it on the filter paper provided, directly compare it, and you get the value. Haldane method. Certain methods are just, again, a fast forward over here, but these are for the sake of completion, especially the postgraduate students. And undergraduates, if you do mention, you score a point over others. There is a hemolysis of the RBCs that is caused. Carbon monoxide is added to this mixture, and the color produced is compared with the standard one. Obviously, the carbon monoxide is a culprit over here, and because of this notoriety, it has been removed. And this is a Scottish physician and physiologist who had designed it. Spencer's method is another one. These are all age-old instruments, but still it looks quite new from the British Museum. And the color of the diluted oxyhemoglobin is matched visually. It is less accurate than the Salis method. The main problem with all these visual methods are it is difficult for the human eye to grade and match the small differences. For example, from red to brown, it cannot distinguish that sharply. These are all pictures for the sake of completion. Fast forward again, Von Fleschers and Govers. The point that I would like to deliver is, you look at the immense amount of pain, the interest and the dedication that these people had chosen and given in order to deliver a mode of diagnosis. And many of them might not be pioneers of medicine. Again, Oliver's hemoglobinometer, a similar one over here. Fast is fine, but accuracy is everything. Maybe it applies to the pathologist in particular. And one again, a Dare's method. This one I was taken aback by. Look at the plethora of things. There is a small glass chamber over here, and then there is a battery bulb which operates the entire machine. And you find that it is taken by means of capillary action. The blood is taken and it is fitted over here, and it is visualized and color matched to the comparators. Obviously, you can imagine the grade of error. You and I would not like our blood to be examined by this method, but it goes with history. The stars here indicate that these are shall know, and must answer questions. Whenever students are asked which is the most accurate method for hemoglobin estimation, they mumble something. But then sign methemoglobin method, it is one of the most reliable methods, still not the most accurate method. So blood is mixed with potassium ferricyanide and potassium cyanide. It is one of the most accurate for laboratory tests. All hemoglobins except the sulfhemoglobin is converted to cyan methemoglobin. And the color intensity is noted at the green filter of 540 nanomicrons. This was asked as an MCQ in the MBBS hematology question paper, and many students did not know. The principle is photoelectric calorimeter. The reagent is the Drapkins reagent. So cyan methemoglobin method, Drapkins reagent, we people should remember. These are the contents of it. Please go through it. Again, always in a case of this calorimeters, you will be having a blank solution, then a standard solution, finally a test solution. This is the mixture over here. Hemoglobin and ferricyanide gives rise to methemoglobin, which gets converted to cyan methemoglobin. And this is the calculation. OD of the test divided by OD of the standard into the concentration of the standard equal to the hemoglobin of the patient. What are the advantages and the disadvantages of the cyan methemoglobin method? Visual error is absent. So it is being measured by the instrument. It is stable. It does not fade very quickly. All forms except the cyan methemoglobin the sulfhemoglobin are converted to cyan methemoglobin. And there are reliable standard references from the WHO. This test has stood the test of time. The disadvantages, obviously potassium cyanide, nobody will like. It is poisonous. Mouth pipetting is disastrous. You'll have to keep it for a few minutes for the complete conversion. The rate of conversion is still longer if there is going to be a carboxyhemoglobin. Moreover, there can be turbidity because of the plasma proteins or because of increased WBCs. So please memorize this. There is no other way. And this is the procedure for it. You'll have to allow it to stand for about 5 minutes, transfer to a quit and take the reading. Generally, it is said that longer you wait, better the hemoglobin estimation. Oxyhemoglobin method. After all, the purpose of hemoglobin is to measure the oxygen. And if your blood oxygen is going to be measured, it can be an indirect measure of the hemoglobin itself. It is mixed with ammonia solution and the absorbance compared with the standard. It is rapid and simple, but again, it is not stable. So this is one of the methods that can be used. Again, a quote again. Why am I mentioning so many quotes on finding fault? Because all these methods are erroneous. Some people find fault like there is a reward for it. Wonderful quote. There are some people who simply spend their life finding faults. The oxyhemoglobin method, this is the principle. We had mentioned it earlier. And what are the advantages? Rapid and it is simple. The bilirubin does not interfere. The disadvantages will be the oxyhemoglobin, it fades quickly. Methemoglobin, sulfhemoglobin, and carboxyhemoglobin might interfere with the values. And a stable solution cannot be prepared. Not very much important, but it is better that we know it. Specific gravity method. In fact, when I go around for the Viva, I ask the students, obviously they have done something and they get the marks for it. But then the student who answers the other methods gets the point. So it is a copper sulfate solution in which a drop of patient's blood is being suspended. And if it is going to be right in the middle, it will be matched somewhat around 12.5 grams, which is supposed to be the normal value. So a series of such copper sulfate solutions are kept and the patient's blood is dropped into it. It is used for donor selection, particularly in a blood bank or sometimes in a camp. And this is what we people see. So 1.053 concentration of copper sulfate is equal to 12.5 grams of hemoglobin per deciliter. And coming to our Salis method, this is what that might be kept for the examination. And this is a Salis pipette. 20 microliters of blood can be taken. Here you see that the blood is being taken by means of the capillary action. And it should not cross the 20 mark. Some people overdraw it and then allow it to come down. That is not correct, as the blood here also will be counted. A second method of error will be that we do not wipe the tip of the pipette. The external part will have to be wiped. Obviously, mouth pipetting is a little dangerous, particularly with HIV and all. So you should know the trick of using this rubber tube itself as a pipette by folding and releasing it. And these are the comparators over here, and this is the N by 10 HCl, and these are the readings. You can imagine how old this particular machine is. I used to tell my students, please don't break it. It is as old as the college itself. So equipment is a Salis hemoglobinometer. You have got a Salis pipette. A stirrer will be there generally. And after removing the stirrer, we should take the reading. And there will be a pipette for dropping. N by 10 HCl distilled water for dilution. So you find that the hemoglobin is converted to acid hematine, which is brown in color and it is matched with the comparators. It is diluted till it matches. This is a good picture for the students to draw in your records. And this incidentally is also a Salis hemoglobinometer. You can very well appreciate the age of the instrument and see how advanced we are with the latest Salis hemoglobinometers we have got in our colleges. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Be careful. Some things will appear very simple, but then we cannot answer. It is cheap, agreed. Technically simple, easy to handle. But even I did not have the presence of mind to answer that it can be used for a bedside procedure. You can take the instrument to the patient and do a hemoglobin estimation. You cannot take a sysmix or a calorimeter. So this can be done. There are some disadvantages, of course. Technical error can be there, sample collection error can be there. Blood is not mixed before collection. So it can be superficial or it can be the deeper dense RBCs. All the hemoglobins are not converted. These are all not converted. Not wiping the tip, not waiting for a period of 10 minutes. 10 minutes is the minimum time so that you get the acid hematin. 15 minutes, you get a higher value. Manufacturing error can be there. The same sample was given, sets of hemoglobinometers were there, and the students got values from 8 to 20. Look at the disastrous range you can get. That is because of the graduation error also in the pipettes and in the tubes. Fading of the comparators. As I told you, when the instrument is old, the comparators fade. Therefore, more amount of dilution is required. Therefore, the value of hemoglobin is false high. So these are the disadvantages. And moreover, it is an obsolete method, which means you people should answer what is the better and the recent method. Whenever we use the word acid hematin method, there has to be an alkaline hematin. An alkaline hematin is used, and the alkali here is sodium hydroxide. 10/10 sodium hydroxide is used. It is similar to acid hematin. The fetal hemoglobin alone is resistant, otherwise it is almost similar to it. And this is the instrument that is being used. There is another hemoglobinometer called the portable hemoglobinometer. So it is pre-calibrated and it is operated by means of spectrophotometer. Blood is taken by means of capillary action and it is put into a cuvette. Acid is added so that you get acid methemoglobin. And the absorbance value is given over here. The errors are again the same. There can be error in collection, dilution, estimation, and there also can be incomplete lysis. So this is the name of the machine, you can just mention it. Chemical method. After all, the basic function of the hemoglobin is to carry the iron. Therefore, if I know the amount of iron in your body, I can indirectly calculate the amount of hemoglobin also. Therefore, it is supposed to be most accurate, but it is used for research purposes, not for routine purposes. So it is funny that sometimes you can only describe something with perfect accuracy by being widely inaccurate. Paradoxical statement, something I like. Gasometric analysis. The apparatus that is used is called the Wannstedt apparatus. And here again, 1 gram of hemoglobin, it carries 0.134 ml of oxygen. Therefore, by measuring the oxygen, you can again know the amount of hemoglobin used for research purposes. Again, it does not measure the carboxyhemoglobin or the methemoglobin. Gasometric analysis, name of the apparatus, and then the ratio. Time consuming, complex, that is why it is used only for research purposes. This one all of us will be knowing. We have been handling it, especially because of the COVID crisis. The pulse oximeter, oxygen saturation is required, and the principle is the Lambert's law. So whatever particle is over there, you find that there is a light path and there is an interference with the absorption because of the particle. Measurement of the oxygen control in the arterial blood. You people would have heard of the blood gas analyzer, etc. It measures the arterial blood. The dissolved oxygen, partial pressure of oxygen can be seen, or it can be the saturation of the oxygen in blood. It can be measured by various instruments such as co-oximeter, pulse oximeter, and it also can be calculated by means of a blood gas analyzer. Actual amount of hemoglobin can be measured. Mainly it is used for the arterial blood. And there are different methods over here. Sometimes you find that even the insertion of the finger is not proper, the reading can be wrong. Here it is too much inside. Therefore, the electrode will not be able to take a proper reading of it, and there will be a sensor which misreads it. Again, stars are over there, sysmex, all of us know there are the other things that are used for measurement. Automation nowadays has come into our lives so that we do not know the manual methods. There is an electrical impedance. Blood is diluted with the reagent and all the bold letters we people should know. Sodium lauryl sulfate. hemoglobin reagent is there, which leads to the lysis of the RBCs. There is the release of the hemoglobin. And you find that ferric is converted to methemoglobin. Methemoglobin in turn combines with this reagent and it forms hemichrome molecule. SLS hemichrome molecule, which is again read by means of absorbance at 555 nanomicrons. So this is the principle over here, and you people should know in and out about the Sysmex, because in the examination nowadays postgraduates are not asked to do the test, but instead a report value, the sheet is brought and you are asked to interpret the various values. In the process, they will be asking you the principles of the various ones, what are the inaccuracies, and so on and so forth. What are the general causes for error? This we had mentioned earlier also. Sometimes there can be micro clots, small clots that will be there, which can even block the machine, such as the Sysmex. Excess of the diluting fluid or excess of blood, error in dilution, not waiting for the proper time. There can be an estimation in the color intensity, error, etc. And all of this can lead to abnormal values. Further, there can be other substances such as paraproteins that can interfere and give a wrong value. And what are we supposed to do? There has to be a standard appropriate anticoagulant. Citrate samples should not be used. That is used for blood banking. And samples should not be having clots. It should be ruled out. Standard and control should be used for the analysis. They should be run almost every day. Storage and stability should be verified. And all the reagents and the blood must be brought to room temperature before testing the sample for hemoglobin. And these are some of the recommended references. You people can go to others also if you have got a seminar or other things. CMC Velour manual. This can be the backbone for all the simple conventional methods. Todd and Sanford laboratory technology. It is also somewhat media between the modern and the conventional methods. Dr. V. Shanti has given a very good narration available in the net. You people can go through it. One page, a textbook on hematology by me, can also be used for referring to the various RBC disorders and the change in hemoglobin. This incidentally, what we call as a modern instrument, etc. It is again putting a drop of blood and then you're taking the reading over here. This is somewhat similar to the age-old Tallquist method, and it has got its own error. But it is only to find out whether there is an increase or decrease, whether there is an increase in the decrease or saturation, etc. A bedside procedure only for monitoring, not for absolute diagnosis. Those who spend their time looking for faults in others usually find no time to correct their own. Again, a beautiful one. Why repeatedly I have been talking about this fault finding is there are a lot of faults in this. For example, in the Salis method that we are using, the error can be anywhere between 20 to 30% or even more. And also in the Tallquist method, it is 20 to 50%. The least error and can be used for conventional methods will be the Drapkins or the cyan methemoglobin method. And most accurate can be the chemical method. So these are the various methods that we people should know. Also the principles of the modern equipment and what are all the reagents used for it. Definitely it will be there. Postgraduates, I repeatedly say, clinical pathology, you will be having about 15, 20 or even 30 marks. And without knowing a hemoglobin estimation in fluency, you will be staring at trouble. Thank you.